Welcome to the VRC, where we won't just be doing chatty rides from now on, we'll also be reviewing whatever electric vehicles we can get our hands on. So for the first full review on the channel, we have the chunky commuter scooter with suspension from iScooter, the M5Pro. So, as with your average commuter scooters, this scooter is a 350 watt scooter, just like their other commuter scooter that I've tried, the iScooter i9. I'll leave a link for my review of that one below. This is now the third scooter from iScooter that I've tested, and they have an ever-expanding range, including this funky little kid scooter that my 6-year-old was really impressed with. It's not electric, but it's a bit bigger than your average free-wheeled scooter, and seems a bit quicker too. Perfect for kids up to the age of around 12, but because it's a 4-in-1 scooter, it has various modes, including a rocking chair mode and one where the parent can push the kid along, so they can really grow up with it from about 2 years old. They could be using it for 10 years. I told iScooter that I didn't really want to make a video on it though, because it's not electric, but if they really wanted to send it, I'd talk about it really quickly at the start of a review. So here it is, and at £140 from the website, it is good value for something that could be used for 10 years, and it appears sturdy, and the light up wheels are really cool. Will absolutely loves it. In fact, he wants to start his own YouTube channel now and do a review of it. Anyway, back to the M5Pro, which costs £309, which is a great price for a scooter with suspension. So let's take a look to see how it was packed up. iScooter M5 Pro. Alright, need to learn how to cope. Handlebar grip.
Oh, nearly got my...
Instruction manual and accessories, Allen keys and screwdriver end with the double-sided screwdriver, Phillips head, or a flat head. 17.5 kilograms this. Right, we don't, can you, what was that? Will that slide off? Charger. Once it was unboxed, I got it charged up and headed out onto the road. The ride quality is definitely better. It's not quite as good as air-filled tyres, but it's 100%, well, not 100%, it's better than it is without suspension. Definitely. Like that, I mean, it was bumpy, but I was fine. Check out the channel for the full length first impressions video. The M5 Pro has a rear disc brake and a front e-brake, which will also harvest energy back into the battery. Unlike the i9, there's two separate brake activators, a regular lever for the disc brake at the back and a thumb turny thing similar to the throttle for the e-brake at the front. I'd never used an independent e-brake before and always imagined they wouldn't be that good compared to a normal brake. Whoa! Definitely lean. It's quite good, that is. I'm gonna pull the brake. Yeah, back brake alone at the moment without adjustment, it's not exactly instant, but you have got two brakes. So let's try again. Two brakes. I'm gonna go back forward. Yeah, that's a lot better. That e-brake is surprisingly good. The scooter has a USB charge port to keep your phone topped up or give a little power in an emergency, which is nice. It has a bell rather than a buzzer, which is fine. Bells aren't as offensive to pedestrians. The thumb throttle on the right is smooth and responsive, though I did struggle with the fact that the rear brake lever is on the same side as the throttle. I'd like to keep the thumb of one hand on the throttle and the other hand on the brake that I use most, which for me would always be the rear brake if I had to choose between front or rear, since I always feel like the rear brake gives more control and I wouldn't want to go over the handlebars. Sadly, I struggled to operate the rear brake and the throttle with one hand. However, once the cruise control kicks in, after about 5 seconds of constant acceleration, I was then free to keep my hand prepped on the rear brake. Incidentally, cruise control is auto-cancelled if you touch the throttle or any brake, and it's a really nice feature to have. There's a front dual LED light that seems a lot brighter than the one on the i9, as well as a rear light which is also a brake light. Double tap the button on the snazzy display to turn lights on and off. Here's the lights. Now I have tested the iScooter i9 and the iX4, so we can compare that if needed. Whoa, that's bright, isn't it? Look at that. Here we go, this is dark, not many street lights. Let's get a difference. Off. On. The scooter has 3 speed modes that max out at 15, 25 and 31 kilometers per hour. That's just over 19 miles per hour, making it a tiny bit faster than the i9. Tap the button once to cycle through those speeds, triple tap the button to switch from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. The no load speed is also 19 miles per hour, which is the same top speed as the scooter, which suggests to me that the scooter is actually electronically limited to 19 miles per hour or 31 kilometers per hour. It also means that unlike the i9, the scooter doesn't come limited to 25 kilometers per hour, so you don't need to go into the app to increase the speed. I'm not sure what this means law-wise, because some countries require the scooter to be limited to 25 kilometers per hour, but in practice it really makes no difference since most people unlock the top speed anyway, and obviously in the UK, e-scooters are not legal on the roads, so they can't really have a speed limit. But since a lot of police are actually cool with people on e-scooters, just respect pedestrians and your own safety and don't go mad. So even though you don't have an app to unlock anything, it does still have one. The app is called CX in Walk, I believe. So I'm going to turn the scooter on. So I'm loading up CX in Walk. It's a funny name. There's a QR code in the instructions to find it. It's pretty basic. You've got your miles per hour and then what mode you're in. You can turn your headlights on, so headlights on, headlights off, mode change, so we're in high speed mode, standard mode, normal mode. Compared to the i9, the scooter is noticeably chunkier. At 18 kilograms, it's a few kilograms heavier than the i9 too. iScooter say on their site that you could take this scooter down to the skate park and do some tricks. Well, I'm not really sure about that. I'm sure it's possible, but it's not what this thing is going to get used for. The weight limit is 120 kilograms, so it can carry some decently sized individuals, and it does feel sturdy apart from a weird knocking sound when going over some bumps. It's very obnoxious, that noise. It's very bumpy though where I am. In a city, this would be absolutely easy. It'd take everything with its stride because, you know, nice pavements, few bumps, and it'd be perfect. It's not off-road by any stretch. The deck is nice and roomy, and it's stylish too. It measures at 6 by 22 inches and the handlebars are around 19 inches across, which is nice and wide for good control. However, I wasn't overly keen on the way they attach by screwing on. It's not game breaking. The i9 handles aren't actually removable at all, but these handles could come loose eventually. Again, all you'd have to do is screw it back on tight. You'd never get to the point where they'd fall off because you didn't realize they were loose, because they'd be twisting as you were holding the handlebars. But I just much prefer the folding mechanism used on their iX4 off-road scooter. I have reviewed that scooter too, and I'll leave a link for that below. Spoiler alert, it's great, although they have changed it slightly and it now has a seat and not as many lights on the side. Feel free to send one this way, iScooter, if you would like me to check that one out. I'll be upgrading the iX4 that I have to 1000 watts soon, thanks to the people at Microtech Wolverhampton, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see how that goes. But back to those handles, they can actually be tightened using an Allen key so they don't start twisting, but the key that you need isn't supplied in the package, at least it wasn't in mine, and me being lazy, I didn't want to go and find the Allen key to do it. One good thing about being able to remove handles is that when folded down, it does allow the scooter to become much narrower to help, for example, with fitting into a car boot or under a desk. The scooter folds down very easily, but does feel pretty secure with a clasp that hooks into the neck of the scooter and a solid looking mechanism that locks the scooter in place when folded up and when folded down. Now let's talk about the ride quality. Now, commuter scooters are generally meant for zipping around nicely paved towns and cities, and this could do that no problem, just as the i9 or any Xiaomi style scooter could. But if your journey was a little bumpier, then the suspension would be a very nice addition. The M5Pro has front and rear suspension, but instead of air-filled tyres, it has honeycomb rubber tyres, which are meant to allow the wheels to flex a little to offer a little bit of shock absorbing. The i9 has the same tyres, and they're loads better than the type of wheels you'd get on a kid's Razor scooter, for example.
Do some balancing.
But the addition of the suspension definitely softens the blow when going over bumps. Boing! It's good though, isn't it? Like the ones on the canal path that I'm always riding down.
Here, a bit of bumpy, bit of bumpy. Yeah, that was a lot better than the i9. So I can still feel that the tyres aren't air-filled, like air-filled tyres. It irons up all those little tiny bumps. But the big bumps on this path where there's like roots coming out and stuff like that. Let's go down here. There's some more down here. It really helps a lot with them because they were like proper jarring on the i9 without suspension. So I think this is a happy medium between having, yeah, like that was fine. I mean, I want to get ready for it, but it's nowhere near as bad as when you've got nothing. Here's some more. Whoa, loads like, whoa. But it's all right. It's not too dissimilar to on the iX4. Whee.
The scooter has a water resistance rating of IP54, which means it's fine in the rain, as I found out.
Right, here I am in wintry America. Well, autumny, rainy America. I've got M5Pro out in the rain, all that mud on there. And I thought, I haven't got my cameras, I've only got my phone. You know, it'd be a bit silly if I didn't get any footage. I've just had it out for the drone, getting some drone shots, which means I've got no equipment properly. I've got no case on my phone, but I need to get some footage of me on the scooter in the rain, just to prove that I'm, you know, extreme. Bump! I don't want to drop my phone. I'll be very upset if I drop my phone. No case, no pop socket. I need pop sockets. But yeah, that's it. That's me. Upright video using on a widescreen video. Oh shit! Right, I'm off. Go. See ya. Bye.
And it can go through puddles. Just don't submerge the deck. Basically, don't be an idiot.
I don't want to go too fast that I'll splash, but I don't want to go too slow that I'll just fall off.
I repeat, don't be an idiot. So the scooter is 42 volts and 350 watts as mentioned, and the battery has a capacity of 7.5 amp hours, which is the same as the i9. But the stated range of the M5 Pro is 25 miles, and the i9 is about 10 miles less, which seems a bit odd, especially as the M5 Pro is heavier and seems a little more powerful despite the same wattage of the motor. I did all my tests without charging the battery, and by the time I was done, after just under 2 weeks, I'd only covered just under 9 miles. Now these weren't in ideal conditions. For example, I weigh nearly 100 kilograms, which is pretty heavy. I was riding in the cold, riding at full power, and also using zero start, meaning I was accelerating from a standstill without kicking off to help out the motor. I also left the scooter for a few days in between each test, which means the battery could have discharged a little. Despite all that, I was still way short of the 25 miles iScooter say I could get if I was a skinny dude using push start on slow mode on a summer's day. I do wonder if the stated mileage is actually a mistake, since the range of the iX4 is also about 25 miles, but that has a much larger battery. Regardless though, I doubt I'd want to ride any smaller scooter for a commute that was much more than 5 miles each way anyway. I don't really think scooters like this are meant for that, but for your last mile solutions after getting off public transport, or for exploring once you've driven somewhere, or commutes of about 1 to 3 miles each way, these types of scooters are perfect. Now, I need to get in a stealthy question for the comments, since some people will be here from my other channel for a VR giveaway. So if you are, my question is, how long would your commute be and how rough would it get? If you're a VR person hoping to enter the giveaway, do include an emoji in your comment.
Obviously, this isn't like any sort of speed demon scooter. It is meant for general commuting, and for that it is quite nice.
Overall, there's a lot to like about this M5 Pro from iScooter. It's pretty cheap, the suspension definitely makes it a nicer ride compared to having none, and it feels really zippy and quite solid. Thanks again to iScooter, who have been great to work with. They didn't sponsor the video and didn't ask me to say just nice things, and they didn't want to check the video before I posted it. They just sent it me and let me test it and make a video on it. So I've been really impressed with their scooters so far, and the M5 Pro is no exception. So that's the end of the video, and that was the first ever EVRC scooter review. If you're interested in e-scooters, EUCs, e-bikes and other electric vehicles, you should definitely subscribe to stick around. And if you got something from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you whacked that thumbs up button. But most of all, thanks for everyone who stuck around this long, and until next time, ride safe.